I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. A little setup before I bring on my next guest. Listen, this coronavirus in China, who knows how bad it's going to get medically, but financially, it's getting bad. Car companies are stopping production. Airlines are stopping flights and laying off tens of thousands of people. Rabobank came out and said, wow, the stock market's up, and it's because of the $2 trillion China has dumped into the market fighting us. And the analyst at Rabobank, which is a big European bank, I think it's a Dutch bank, has come out and said, well, after all, we're talking about 80% of the economy, China, the economy is tanking. And 90% of the exporters are simply not functioning. How long can this go on? And you think that the analyst at Rabobank is the only one there? The Fed is saying, is warning of asset valuations elevated. Coronavirus presents new risk to global outlook. Now, my next guest called for a big stock market crash of the century, actually, at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. It didn't work out. And Bo, I just want you to come on and tell us, why didn't that work out? I know the Fed is also pumping out $60 billion a month and is a hot mess in the repo market. Why didn't the crash of the century happen? Is it because all the money printing?
You're correct, Greg. Well, there's two reasons. Number one is, yes, it was the money printing. There was supposed to be a crash in December. It did not happen. And if you look at I think Catherine Austin Fitts and other people you had on your show talked about the immense amount of money in terms of billions and billions that was pumped into the markets in the end of the year to not let the crash. So that is the number one reason that the markets did not crash in December. However, that still takes us to the second point, and the point is the cycle is not over yet. Okay, so the point is today I will go through some cycles for you and your viewers, but the cycle in and of itself is not complete, and they're still pointing to a very, very big event come the second quarter of this year, and then latter part of the year as well too. So this is not over. We are not out of the woods, and what I will be giving you and your viewers today is a critically important time point coming very shortly. And this time point is critical to not be in the markets, because if you're in the markets at between now and this point in time, it could be very, very catastrophic. So I think you're going to enjoy what I have to give you today, Greg.
Well, I wanted to kind of start here with something you sent me. You've got a big PDF or a PowerPoint presentation. It's 20-something pages long, which you're going to give away for free. It's going to be in the after the interview section, and it's about Trump's cycles. There's some great stuff in here, and also some dates and some some timing that is like Jonathan Kahn kind of a thing. That only God could do. But let's start with Daniel's timeline. You sent this to me, and I'm gonna put up here so people can see. Here's the page on the existing thing. We're shooting around. We're not gonna get everything in here. This is Trump wins the election November 8th, 2016. Which, by the way, you came on and said we'd get a big crash going into the fall. You said it on election night. You said everybody was calling for a Santa Claus rally, and you said. You came on and said we would get a big correction going into the fall of 2018. And sure enough, we did. 20% on the Dow and, I don't know, 35% on the Russell 2000. We had a pretty good correction. So let's start with this right here. Daniel's time. Can you explain this? This is one of the charts you want me to cover.
Going back to 2018, Greg, I don't think there's one analyst out there that actually foretold of the crash, because we've always in the past 10 years had Santa rallies. This was the first time in history that there was no Santa rally. Now, what we're looking at here is page 7 of the PDF. So I do highly recommend you go to and download this PDF and view as we discuss. But Daniel's timeline in and of itself is a 2,000-year-old prophecy, okay? But the timeline in and of itself is 1,260 days, 2 cycles of it. And this cycle in and of itself ties into directly President Trump, okay? So from the day Trump got elected, okay, on November 8th of 2016, a 1,260-day cycle takes that cycle to precisely this April 21st of 2020. So between now and April 21st of 2020, this is a critically important time point to be very, very aware of. Now, if you understand what I've discussed in prior videos back in May of 2019, Greg, there was 3 numbers that I brought up that came to me, and those numbers specifically were 1, 2, 4. You remember that, Greg?
Yeah. Yep.
The 1-2-4 cycle. And so God gave me this cycle, and he showed me how it works. And if you remember from that video, it was taking the numbers 1-2-4 and it was rolling it into a circle because it was a cycle, so it would repeat itself. And so when I ran this cycle, what it was foretelling was that a crash was supposed to happen December into January. Guess what? There's something written in the Bible, and what it's written, it says, Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but it is the honor of kings to search out a matter. So guess what I did, Greg? I went and I searched, and I wanted to find out, if you want to pull back a little bit, I wanted to find out precisely why didn't it happen? And the answer came to me actually when you called me and wanted to do the interview. So I actually prayed that day and I said, God, can you show me what I missed?
Here's
guess what he showed me, Greg.
Here's the time.
Yes, he showed me that, so I knew that there was going to crash into.
So this is the crash you were talking about at the end of 2018, right here.
Right, and if you look at that, it's a 4-2-1.
And then what do we get? We got
we got into point E. So we got 4-2-1 backwards into point E when that was on December 24th. Now check how incredible this is. Okay, no one's picked this up. No one in the world has picked this up. But from Trump's election of November 8th, from his election, if you run first off, this is before you want to go to his election, the day he was born in Israel, there is a blood moon on June 14th of 1946. Then 700 days later, Israel was proclaimed a state. Then from his birth, 70 years, 7 months and 7 days, Trump's first day in office. Then if we backtrack to the day he got elected, 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days was Netanyahu's first day as prime minister of Israel. So this number 7 is Daniel's timeline. So this is so important. This is why I did this PDF presentation for you, Greg, because it's God's Trump cycles. So please, it's written in the Bible. Jesus actually said, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Please hear what we're saying, but there's two things about hearing. One is hearing and one is listening. And so when you hear, it can fall on deaf ears, okay? So there's the action of hearing is listening. And so those who are hearing, please listen to what we're talking about and just take the time to really appreciate what was done for you and what I've given you and your viewers here. And
so when are we going to get this crash? Because it didn't happen.
Right. That was the next point I was going to get to. So if you look from the election of November 8th of 2016, 771 days. So 777 from the date of his election to the crash at point E on December 24th. This is not guesstimating. This is exact math. You can pull back a tiny bit. The exact, on December 24th of 2018, it was precisely 777 days. Now, you explain to me how this could have been a random event, okay? Because the odds of it being a random event is about 0, okay? On top of that, if you backtrack it from the election date to the very top in 2018, in January, guess what? That was 444 days. First black bubble. First black bubble was 444 days. Then you go 333 days forward and you add up 444, 333, and you get 777, which is the exact crash of December 24th. Of 2018. That was the crash that I foretold, and that's the crash that I knew was coming. That's when the one that God told me there's going to be a crash.
And then we got this, and you thought we were going to.
Yes. So right from that point, there's a 2-month window which I missed because the 9 comes into play. It's called vortex math. I'm not going to go into details of that, but basically it's on page 16 of my presentation, or actually page 15 of my presentation. There's a 2-month window that must be added in there. It's a circle. But God, again, he hides things from people until you ask, until you find the truth. The 2-month window started the cycle again at 1, 2, 4. We just completed the second 4 at the end of January, and now February, March is the next 2 cycle, finishing with the 1 cycle. So it's a 4-2-1 backwards.
So you think we're going to go down from here?
Correct. And
So
so
we're going to
this
go from
chart,
up in here somewhere.
yes, this is February. This chart dated is, if you look at the chart, is dated
Right.
February 6th. Okay. I believe that is the final top. Even they
Right
printed
here.
money at the top. Yes,
This is
that's the final top.
last Thursday was the final top.
It dropped, it came back up. And what did I tell you on last week? I said, in the day of our interview, which is today, or the day of the interview, or actually what I said was Friday of itself, the
Right.
Friday of the 7th.
We're going to have a sell-off.
Right. What happened today, Greg?
On Friday it was 277, something like that, almost 300 down.
Down.
And
Exactly.
so now we're on Sunday, and so what's happening the rest of this week? So you think that you've seen the high last week, last Thursday? We had a pullback on Friday, pretty good one. 300, almost 300 points on the Dow points, and now on Sunday here, the early Sunday release, you're saying that this week's going to be a down week.
Correct.
And you think you've seen
wait.
You've seen the highs. We've seen the highs.
Yes, we've seen the highs, but I wanted to bring up one extra point because you're asking about this coming week, okay? So what comes in this week on Wednesday? Guess what day it is, Greg?
I don't know.
The 12th of 2020. 2-2. 1-2-4 is this Wednesday. I'm just saying, look out and watch out for this Wednesday. Okay, and it's prefaced by the February, it's the second month, which is the 9th in completion if you add them up. So beginning this Wednesday, whether it happens or not, I don't know. But this Wednesday potentially is the start of something not so wonderful in the markets. And so we have a down cycle which began today, which began the day of Friday, which would have been the 7th, and the market is expected to continue down all of next week, this coming week. That's just the first phase. It's going to continue because why? Daniel's timeline foretells 1,260 days from the election. That date comes in on April 21st of 2020. Now, what's special about that date also is it's 4, 2, 1 backwards. Also in April, another important date would be the 12th of April, which would be 1, 2, 4 forward. But if you look at the chart that I provided, you and your viewers on page 8, you can see how 1, 2, 4 has tied into the entire cycle so far for the stock market, including December 24th. 1, 2, 4 of 2018 was the final exact day for the low. So the point is, much problem is coming, and until this time point, the first cycle of Daniel completes, Greg, I'm telling you, Greg, all those things you just discussed in the preface here about things in China and everything else, I'm saying things are extremely dangerous between today's interview and this what we're talking about into the first cycle completion of Daniel in April.
So you're calling for the market to sell off, going into, so the bottom is going to be, or is it going to keep going through April 21st, 2020, or is that the bottom?
Yes, I believe the crash of the crash that we've been looking for. Remember, it's written in the Bible, no one knows the day or the hour of the return of Christ, okay? Right. Just like the day and the hour of the stock market crash. No one knows the day or the hour of the stock market crash. But what you can calculate, what God's shown me, is you can calculate highs and lows, but the crash happens somewhere in between. So what's happening is the market itself is going to have days where it goes up and down into April, and they're going to try to prop it up like you're seeing. They're creating insane money to hold up the markets. But the point is the direction, regardless of how much money they print, the overall direction is a down cycle into my April Daniel's timeline calculation. Now, will the plunge be a 10% plunge? I don't think so. Will it be 20%? Could be, but maybe I think it's going to go lower. The cycle chart itself points to it could go as deep as a 35% correction, and it could penetrate that even deeper and go deeper. So again, I'm not putting my word out today as to what price point could hit in April, but I will tell you April will be a massive acceleration phase straight to the downside. What day it happens, again, no one knows the day or the hour, but it will happen somewhere late March into April. There'll be a massive collapse or plunge. How deep it goes, I don't know, but what is my title? What do? I'm an analyst of time. So I don't care what prices hit. I'm just saying extreme danger until my cycle time point is hit by the date being the 21st of April. And that actual date is the date that in terms of the God's Trump cycles, that's the date of the second financial win cycle for Trump. So the cycle itself is 7 years. So 1260 is only so far half of the Trump cycle that we're going to see. So we haven't seen the full cycle yet. There's another entire half cycle, which is the 3.5-year cycle coming.
And let's just riff here for a second, because a lot of people are thinking, "Oh no, the Democrats, they're going to win the White House, and Trump's going to take it on the chin for the economy." I think the Chinese will be blamed for the crash, not Donald Trump. He'll be able to come out and say, "Well, listen, I had everything going in the right direction." But you're saying that this will not knock Trump out of the office, or will it? Will this big crash knock Trump out of his second term?
Absolutely not. And the reason is it's predictable and foretellable via Daniel's timeline. Okay. Daniel's timeline is 7 years, 2 cycles of 1,260 days. This April 21st is a completion only of the first half of the cycle of the first 1,260 days. Then we have the second cycle of 1,260 days, taking us into the end of 2023. Okay. So Trump's election is in this November, and so he's going to continue to be president, and the cycle doesn't end until December or late 2023. So Trump has an entire cycle forward. Now, here's the thing about the election, okay? Does that mean you don't need to go vote for Trump? The answer is 100%. You must go vote for Trump. And those people who think, those Christians, those Catholics, the Protestants, those that believe in Jesus as Messiah, here's the thing you must understand. Whether you like Trump or not, the bottom line is the math calculations that I present to you in this PDF presentation, okay, is beyond any form of mathematical luck, okay? It's impossible for this to be luck. What's happening is this is by divine creation, that a man is born in Israel, that from what I showed you, going all the way forwards, and then right into the stock market crashes, which you're going to see. Again, if the markets crash...
Wait, now Trump wasn't born in Israel. Trump was born...
I'm sorry, no, he was born in New York, but the blood moon in Israel.
When there's a blood moon, okay.
Yes, same exact day. Okay. Now, should the markets collapse, should the markets plunge, should this event happen March going into April, and my timeline is correct, please understand, I want zero credit for this, because the credit goes to God. All glory goes to God if this plays out this way. If it doesn't, I'm taking responsibility. But I'm telling you, what I was showing is this is how the timeline's laid out, okay? And so far, the timeline's unbroken, and I'm just giving you a heads up. Look to this week, because the cycle's foretelling, again, this coming week is going to be not great in the markets to foretell of what's about to continue. And again, there will be bounces to answer your question. The markets will bounce again. They're going to print money to bounce it again. But ultimately, the timeline here, Greg, is critical. And then if the people, back to Trump, go and vote for Trump, what will happen? If everybody went out and just had enough of what the Democrats have done, and just for that reason of itself, go in and vote for Trump, if everybody votes for Trump, what you will have happen will be, this is for God. This is for us, for due to God, because we do have free will. But if we do this, what will have happen will be the greatest landslide in human history for a president, and he will absolutely destroy and get everything that he wants into this at this election point. So it could be devastating for the Democrats if we all do our part.
And you think that the April 21st or around end of April is going to be the low of this cycle?
Correct.
And then it'll go up from there, and Trump will do something to make it go up from there. Does he have to do something to the currency? What happens in your estimation if we get a 25% takedown would be the market's about 20 trillion, the stock market. So a 25% is about 5 trillion. And you're talking about a 35 or 40%, that's like, $6-7 trillion, poof, bye. And so you're saying that he can bring it back up dramatically. Does he have to do something to the currency?
Well, here's the thing, okay? So now you're asking questions of, what events are going to transpire. The problem is that I'm analyzing time, and I don't know nothing about the events in and of itself. But what I can do is I can look at the cycles of gold, and those cycles of gold can help me understand what gold is going to do, and then I can put that into, line that over top of the stock market cycle. But the essence of what could happen is we're going to see another 1,260-day cycle. So this is critical to and important to understand. This next cycle, I personally believe, looking at my gold charts,
this is after
April
after
21st.
Okay.
Right. So Trump will be forced, I believe, somewhere around late April, maybe into May, to make some kind of an announcement or do something based on events that transpired. Okay.
And
after he makes an announcement, somewhere between that point and into October, which again I discuss in my gold chart, why October is critically important, and September into October, critically important for gold. So somewhere in that time frame, something's going to happen that's going to force Trump's hand to do something with a monetary cycle, because gold end of September into December, end of September into October, because October and September are critical time points for gold. That's beginning in October, gold embarks on a bull market like we've never seen before. And that is supposed to, and again, that doesn't mean we're not going to have gold continue to go up, because we will. But there's going to be a second leg for gold that's going to be epic. But that will not start until my 9 cycle completes with using again the vortex calculations, which would take us to the end of September and into October. And then that's going to be rather epic for gold. And that would tie into, the 7 years of plenty. We've had 3.5 so far, but the plenty's not over yet.
And I just want to bring people up to speed on this deal too, where I just want to bring this up. Back in, and you did an interview for this, and you're on record, back in December of 2015, actually December 3rd, you said the low was going to be 1045. Now, that's in December of the 3rd of 2015. Well, things weren't going very well for gold. People thought it was going to go to $600 or $700 an ounce, and there were some people out there saying it'd be $200 an ounce. And you said, no. That's the low for the cycle is 1045. And then
I think honestly with that date, I don't know that there's another analyst in the world that actually interviewed on that date, which I scheduled a month earlier, because I knew that would be the cycle low, and I didn't know the price. I knew the date. Just like I'm giving you the date of April. I didn't know the low, but I knew that on that date, the low came in at 1045. I said that was the low.
So here,
and I ended up being the low.
So here's your 1045. Boop. And then you had made another call. You made this on my air, and you said that in May of 2019, 1275 would be the low, that it would take off. And sure enough, it did. And then it consolidated, and then you called me up one time just before my weekly news wrap-up. This is in 2019. And this is in for your subscribers too. And then you said, hey man, we've been consolidated all the way through here, consolidated, kind of just bouncing around. The low is going to be 1045. And this is your what you did for your subscribers. You said the low is going to be 1045 and it's going up from here. And sure enough, we went from 1045 and we're at 1570 on the close of Friday. Pretty nice run. You said also 2018 would be a good year for 2019 would be a good year for gold. Pretty good year. It's up 20% or something, right? So now you're saying that's just a small change. It's going to go much higher.
Well, and this is the thing. See, so what you're describing is, so the cycles that I showed, that you're showing right there. Yes, we call the bottom. We call those 3 exact points to the exact day. Why? Because cycles are predictable. Okay, but here's the thing. The price, $1,200, 1445 gold. Who cares? Those are such low prices. It's a joke. And the reason is, again, the money manipulation, the printing, they cannot break the cycle. The cycle's not broken. So that's why I'm able to still predict precisely low points for gold. But the problem is the magnitude, the price to the upside, they're controlling so much that they are holding it down. So they're not breaking the cycle. but they're holding the price down. But what that does in the end is cause an incredible price explosion when it blows up in their face. So these ridiculous prices for gold, for silver in the $17 range, gold in the $1,500 range, these prices are incredibly low because when the price goes up and then the mechanism of manipulation blows up, you're going to see an epic price move for gold and silver. And the cycle foretells that time is running short, and the 9 cycle takes us, it's going to start to accelerate no later than October of this year. And we're probably by that time be at much higher prices anyways, because I'm sure the price is going to be jumping higher, and which is what the cycle foretells. But the point is, come October, it's off to the races.
You think it's going to be exponential? I mean, huge moves.
Well, yes, that doesn't happen in September. It just means, yes, it just means that it starts. And that's like, with the horse races, that's where the gates open.
What about now? What about from now until April? Is that a bad time to hold gold, or is that a
because what are we looking for? Daniel's timeline foretells that into April is a very, very ugly time for the stock market, right? So one thing we do know, which I can tell from the stock market cycles and gold cycles, and anybody can do, is guess what gold does the day the stock market goes up? Gold goes down. The day the stock market goes down, gold goes up. They're directly inversely proportional. So if the stock market's having one heck of a bad run into April, well, I can tell you gold is having one heck of a good run into April.
And you think everybody, this is kind of weird that everybody knows that, come on, anybody investing billions of dollars. Ray Dalio's out at Davos saying, buy gold. You got all these other people saying, buy silver, buy gold. Big money, billionaire investor, hedge fund, big people. They're buying metal. They know something's coming, right?
Well, absolutely. They know people that you and I don't talk to. But on the other end of it, I have some subscribers that are very wealthy, and a lot of them, same thing. Where they have their money, they've got their immense wealth stashed into gold and silver, and it's outside the banking system. So this is where the wealthy people are holding their money, because they know something's coming. You can't print money out of thin air to infinity and actually think that concept holds value. And so the time is coming where things are going to shift. Cycles foretell that we're very close now. The PDF presentation, the Trump cycles that I've illustrated, and the gold cycles within there, the stock market cycles within there, all foretell and predict that this year is going to be a year of epic changes, and there's going to be an incredible shift in our financial system very, very soon. And we're supposed to be starting here very quickly. So I think if I look at my daily cycles closely enough, I believe that we might be here starting this coming week, as I discussed earlier. So it's not looking good, and that's all I can tell you with relation to the stock markets.
Listen, they're as I said, they're trying to stick lipstick on this pig of China, and their exports, according to Robobank, 90% aren't functioning. The car companies are laying off people. Airlines are laying off people. They're corralling. They're trying to quarantine millions of people. They're cracking down on anybody telling the truth in China. Oh, yeah, that's a great place to do business. A totalitarian communist regime where nobody has the right to do anything, and they'll just kill you if you get out of line too far. That's a great place to do business, Mary Barra, to build Chevys, you idiot. Anyway, I digress. You think Trump, I want to talk about Trump here a little bit. Because a lot of people think, oh my gosh, it's going to be a terrible reset, and oh my gosh, Trump's going to be kicked out of office. But you have been ardent about this the entire time that Trump has been in office. And you said, no, he's in. God's the kingmaker, Trump's in. Are you still that ardent about Trump's going to win a second term?
Well, again, as I stated earlier, based on Daniel's timeline calculation, the answer must be 100%. The strength and the power that Trump is going to have in the second cycle is going to be determined by the amount of people that go out and vote for him. If everybody goes out and votes for him, it'll be a landslide. The financial, the party system in and of itself with Democrats, that might dramatically change by year's end because of what the Democrats have done. They might lose some incredible positions and power by year's end after the election. So we have free will as people to choose. We need to choose correctly, choose wisely, as it says in the Bible, or choose this day who you will serve. So I do believe that Trump has a second term, and the strength of that second term is going to be determined by us, by we the people, if we go out and do our part. Because again, he was placed there to do what he's doing because God arranged it.
So Daniel's timeline, if I get this right, 1,260 days, 3.5 years, 1,260 days, 3.5 years. Trump's going to get his 7 years in Daniel's timeline. And then what happens after that? So,
well, if you remember that, if go back and read in the Bible, there's a part about Joseph. Okay, Joseph, could interpret dreams. Okay, and so the Pharaoh basically asked him to interpret his dream, and what the prophecy in of itself was, or the dream was that there were 7 years of plenty to stock. So he instructed the Pharaoh to stockpile because the next 7 years were years of famine. Okay, so if we take Daniel's timeline overlaid on Trump's cycles, which I'm outlaying here for you, that takes us into the end of 2023. Okay, that's when the plenty ends. Following the plenty begins the famine. Okay, so beginning in the year 2024, 7 years forward is where the famine hits. Now, this is really important that people miss, or I'm not sure if people understand, but the next 7 year cycle, it's a 7 year of famine cycle, poverty, hyperinflation. It's not going to be good. And
that's after this next 3.5 years.
Right. That begins in 2024. So those who have not prepared are going to be in a bad situation. Those who have stored up, those that have prepared for this will not be in such a bad situation. But this is incredibly important to understand, the Joseph timeline of 7 and 7, of plenty and then famine. Now there's another part written in the Bible, is Matthew 24:22, and it states, "And if those days had not been cut short, no human life would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, God's chosen ones, those days will be shortened." So the last 7 year cycle will get so crazy because, again, we're living in biblical times, that God will have to shorten that 7 year, the final 7 year cycle. So epic times are ahead. And that's why, even mentioning the concept of Bitcoin. So which we haven't talked about yet, but Bitcoin in and of itself is another form of money, which is tied in and moving right now with gold. And so it's going to be the new monetary system. So this whole new monetary system, financial system, is rising, and it's going to be based on hard assets like gold and silver. And they're going to try to, what they've been creating is a digital-based monetary system. But the whole world changes from this paper fiat-based money system to a system of sound money, because we're moving into the second cycle of Daniel. And so beginning again, back to the timeline, April being a critical time point for our world. And then the second important time point, if you look at my gold charts, comes in end of September into October.
A Nenner said that it was easier to run cycles on Bitcoin. It's just easier. And you said the same thing. You said it's not as manipulated. And I got to tell you, I've had people come on the website and have on the website and on YouTube and said, "Man, I don't care what you say. He's been killing the Bitcoin. He's been killing it." And you can also tell me something very interesting as we talk, because we're friends also. And you said, Bitcoin has been preceding gold by about a day. So you see Bitcoin up, the next day you see gold up. You see Bitcoin down, the next day you see gold down. Is that the pattern that you keep saying over and over again? Bitcoin up, gold up?
It's not, yeah. They're moving in sync pretty closely, but sometimes it's by a day. Yes, not always, but sometimes by a day. This last move, we had Bitcoin jumping. I think it was just early last week on Thursday. It was supposed to jump up, and it did it on the exact day that we're looking for it to do. So it jumped up. So Bitcoin, like gold, has an up cycle this coming week. Okay. And so it's about to break through $10,000. And I believe we'll do that right around that time point I gave earlier for this coming week. So we should see Bitcoin bust through 10,000 and start to run vertical very, very quickly. It's going to move with gold. Bitcoin moves more proportionately than silver and gold do because there's so many derivative ways and contracts that they can do to try to hold the price of gold and silver down. So Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies accelerate much quicker than gold and silver do. And in reference to the cycles itself, absolutely. Just like in December, I was able to, this was a calculated low, calculated the exact low of December 17th of 2019 was the exact cycle low for gold and now for Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin has an up cycle. And again, Bitcoin is going to be moving with gold, in the near term here. So really exciting times for Bitcoin. And my price target for Bitcoin, not this year, but next year, is far above $200,000. So Bitcoin's got an incredible move coming. It's just going to be extremely powerful, but there's other coins that I like even better than Bitcoin because their price points are lower and they're going to be much more explosive. And again, we cover all that within, with my subscribers, I give them all that information. But the point being is that Bitcoin is very much predictable because it really runs on the cycles and it has much less manipulation in it. So I really enjoy doing the Bitcoin analysis. And those who have a few minutes can go to our website and look at the Bitcoin chart that Bitcoin page that we have. I think it's the second page. There are like 16 video links that you can verify my analysis. And these videos absolutely called nearly to the exact day or few days of Bitcoin jumps of 2,000, drops of 2,000, including the one of the tops near 20,000. So the analysis has been incredibly different to try to predict the movement of Bitcoin because for whatever reason, they're not manipulating the price as much. And right now, Bitcoin bottomed last December, and it's not going down those prices anymore. So it's got a lot of strength, and yes, and Bitcoin I think is a wonderful way to transition. Again, not long term, but right now to transition your finances into a new monetary system. Bitcoin's definitely going to have some extreme strength because of events that come down here, and Bitcoin does tie in with the gold cycle that I've laid out. So the timing for Bitcoin ties in directly to the timing for gold, and that cycle we cover. Where is that page? I cover so the gold cycle's on page 14, and Bitcoin is very much related to that in a way. It has its slightly variations, but the time points are going to be rather interesting. And so what we see happen for Bitcoin later this year is going to be rather epic.
Why do you think it's going up? So, I mean, I guess we're right back to the money printing. Why do you think it's going up? All this crazy money printing? I mean,
yes, that's like Bitcoin was a bubble at $1. It was a bubble at $5. It was a bubble at $100, at 1,000, and then they keep calling it a bubble, but it never blows up. It just keeps making higher lows and keeps going up higher and higher. So
it's a proxy for the money printing. Is that right?
Well, yes. The key thing I think what gives Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies value, there's not all of them, but some of them, is the fact that it's finite. In other words, there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin. Okay, so you can't print Bitcoin to infinity. What you can do is fractionalize Bitcoin so you can sell fractions of it. So the price can keep going up, but there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. That gives it value. That's like saying, this photograph has value because there's only one of them, or there's only 100 of these photos made. So these and signed by the guy that painted it. So these 100 photos, because they're signed, they have massive value. So the same thing for Bitcoin is just because it's in limited quantity and it can't be created to infinity like the fiat currency system is, right? They detached the dollar. Nixon detached the dollar from gold in 1971. So that fact that they detached it now has given them the ability to create this infinite amount of money because it's not attached to anything. And just like Bitcoin has a limited quantity, so too gold and silver. You have to go mine it, you have to go get it out of the ground, and there's only so much of it. So that's going to give gold and silver incredible value because it's in limited supply. So anything that becomes limited in terms of getting your hands on it is going to have incredible value because faith and confidence will be lost when this transition hits. And I believe we may see that transition. I know we're going to see it by October, and I do believe we'll actually see an incredible shift happen by this potential time point into April, into late April.
It's a little risky with Bitcoin at 10,000 a unit. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't really make that much money. Is the stone cold safest play and deal out there silver?
Well, yes, because you can take possession of it. You don't have to worry about the internet going down. So yes, and it's the cheapest way of holding anything because it's not even under, gold's over 1,000. So yes, silver at $17 is an incredible steal at this point in time. It comes out of the ground roughly 10 to 1, depending on who you talk to, but let's just say it's 10 to 1.
Yep.
Right now it's 90 to 1. So if you believe in gold,
the gold silver ratio 90 to 1.
Right, the gold silver ratio is 90 to 1.
So if you 90 ounces of silver to take one gold, and it's usually 10 to 1.
Correct. That's exactly, yes.
All right, go
yes.
ahead. So I interrupted you. Go ahead. So silver.
Yes. So it's because of the 90 to 1 ratio. Where if you believe that gold's going to go up in value, silver is going to do what gold's going to do, but it's going to multiply it up to 9-fold to get back to the ratio of 10 to 1. 10 to 1. Not tomorrow, but over the years forward, silver is going to approach, get to 10 to 1, and because of the excessive 90 to 1 manipulation for all these years, it may overshoot it. And so it could go 5 to 1, 1 to 1. I don't know, but I can tell you it's not going to stay at 90 to 1 when gold starts going up. When gold starts going up, gold starts the race. So that's why you're seeing gold right now at over 1,500, and silver is still being manipulated down at the 17 range, 18 range. The moment gold jumps to 1,700, 1,800, silver is going to bust, and it's going to go to $20, $22. Again, that's still cheap. But once it goes beyond $26, $30, it's going to then run to $60 to $70 rather quickly. It'll come back off. It'll back off that price because it'll make a new high. It'll come back maybe to the $50, $45, $40 range. And then that's the biggie. Once it finishes that pullback, then it's made a new higher high. The next run's going to take it to it's going to go to first 100, then 200, and 300, and 400, and $500. It's just going to start accelerating higher and higher and higher. It's just going to run like you've never seen before. So it's going to, I get 3 steps into the 20 range, maybe 22, 24, 20, under 30. Then when it busts through that, it's going to shoot to 60. It'll come back, and then the second run is going to be the run of a lifetime.
And so where do you think silver will end up? Gold will end up? Where do you think they'll all end up? Bitcoin, you think 200 grand a unit. But with all the money printing in the tens of trillions of dollars, I mean, the secret money, the 21 trillion that Austin Fitts and Mark Skidmore have been talking about, all the money printing in China, Japan, the U.S., Europe. So maybe that's not such a crazy thing, but where do you think gold and silver will end up? Bitcoin, 200 grand, got it. What about gold and silver? Where do you think their high watermark's going to be?
Again, see, that's tough because in terms of timing and price, they're 2 separate issues. If biblically, God says he'll multiply things 30, 90, 30, 60, or 100. So it's 30, 60, or 100. So you do, math of 30 times the price of gold at 20. You can do 20 times 20. 30 times 20. You can do 60 times 20, or you can do 100 times 20. So 100 times 20 could take silver to $2,000. So it depends on which one of those biblical numbers it'll hit. But the minimum it would be times 30, and that's in the near term. So I still think we're looking at 60 to 100 fold on silver, before the second cycle of Daniel completes. And so that's, gold. Well, same thing. So at 1,500, probably, we could see gold at, I would say minimum 10,000 to as high as 100,000. So again, those are very big numbers because it depends on how high these explosions are when they start to lose control. Because the money is incredible. It's incredible. So what I can tell you is you have in terms of timing, you have nothing to worry about because gold has an incredible cycle for years to come forward. And at some point, it's going to start exploding vertical. So I think Jim Sinclair's number of 50,000 is quite realistic when it hits those. Because why wouldn't it? If Trump has to employ some kind of a gold-backed monetary system, $50,000 gold price is extremely realistic because no one's going to have faith in the paper system.
Okay. Well, so people have time to prepare. I tell people pay off your car, pay off your house. Listen, for people who are not that wealthy, hey, cut back on that cell phone and buy yourself an ounce of silver every month. Cut back on that cell phone plan, that data package. Cut back on your your cable plan. Don't eat out. Buy yourself an ounce of silver. I mean, poor people, I guess the poor guy will be screwed. What? No, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be work. Right? It's going to be sacrifice. You can do it. You can help yourself. Right? And you got time to do it.
You got a little time. You got still some time, exactly. But here's the thing is, there's going to be an initial jump. We could see a jump very soon here. So we could see an initial jump in gold and silver very, very soon here. And I think we're going to. So we'll see an initial jump, an initial spike in gold and silver. But I don't think it's going to blow the roof off yet. We're not going to go to very crazy numbers yet because silver still has to break through $30 before it goes into the 60 range. So there's not much, but there's probably a little bit of time to go. But please remember the 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. If you've done nothing to prepare, I don't know how many times it says in the Bible, my children prepare, okay? And so you must understand it's so important to prepare because these are times of plenty. And when the other side of the coin hits and it's the years of famine, it's not going to be pretty. And when that time comes, it's too late. When I say time, very soon, we might see gold over $2,000-$3,000. You might see silver at $60 pretty quickly. And if that number happens quickly, here's the problem you're going to have is you can buy a third less of it than you can today at 20 or under 20. Right. So these prices, when the market blows up, there's going to have several phases of it where it breaks and gold just explodes because they're trying to hold it down, but there's going to be phases where it just spikes. And there might be one phase coming up where it spikes and they just shut the markets down for several weeks. We don't know that. And so if the markets are shut down for a week or two, they might open the market up and silver might be at $60 or $70, right? So we don't know how big a spike is coming, but I've been giving you those numbers because those are very realistic numbers that should get hit. But when they open the markets up, silver might be triple in price than it was just a few days ago. So expect that to happen where silver suddenly in a heartbeat explodes and triples in price. And then maybe it'll pull back and then very quickly again will once again explode in price and go to $100 to $200. So this is the year where it all goes down. It all happens this year based on the one thing I did miss and God did show me was the vortex calculation using the 9 and how it explains on how there was a 2-month extension. But now that we're here, the markets are going to start to drop. And where is the exact massive drop? Is going to be several of them, or is it just one or two? Again, no one knows the day or the hour, but I do tell you, if what I got was correct, it goes down between now and the 21st of April this year.
And the drop dead deal between silver, gold, and Bitcoin right now, silver's the no-brainer.
It's the cheapest. It's the cheapest, unless you're looking at some of the alternate coins. We do cover some alternate coins. There's there's coins. There's Bitcoin Cash. There's other Litecoin. There's other coins that are top 5 coins that are very like Ethereum. These coins are not in the $9,000 $9,500 range, so they are less expensive. So you can get a whole coin. But yes, there's going to be, if you don't hold, those three items are the way to transition into a new monetary system.
Silver's the cheapest. Silver's the best deal.
Absolutely. Exactly. And you can hold it in your hand. And especially, you don't need to learn how to use the blockchain, how to use crypto, how to use all that. It's not. And so it will take a little longer for it to be exploding relative to the cryptos, So cryptos will have a quicker, faster explosion and bigger percentage returns in the near term. But in the longer term, absolutely, silver is hands down the way to go.
Very good. You have some kind of you're going to give a half off your subscription. You were telling me, it says, hey man, would you like to have your people get half off? I don't make anything on this, so we're not in business together. I love you and I love having you on, but you're going to offer something to just the subscribers where they get something for a deal. Would you explain that to me?
So what I thought to do was, because I put this PDF together and there's just so much information in it, and what I'm giving your viewers, I hope I'm helping everybody, because the goal is my job is to provide information. I'm trying to do my best to get people to understand what's coming, and I truly hope that this PDF presentation, please download it, please look at it in detail.
It's free.
It's free.
It'll be an ad for the interview.
A lot of work was
section.
put into this.
Yeah.
Yes, and I honestly, this is what was given to me the day after you called me, Greg, to do this interview. So I put this together as a courtesy, as to give free to the world. Okay, so this is there within there. If you're a trader, if you trade gold and silver, if you're a Bitcoin cryptocurrency trader, okay, then you have the option to go to my website and subscribe. You get my Bitcoin index or my gold turn dates, and yes, we cut the price in half. You can get a 14-day trial rather than $100. It's $49. Use the code USA49. So USA Watchdog USA 49. You can have my subscription at half price, $49, and just check it out. But you'll see how cycles can predict future direction of the markets. Specifically, in most accuracy is the crypto cycles. It's rather incredible, and how they can be predicted.
Just to let you know, which I was so very surprised to read this, and I read it a dozen times. Hey man, Bo Polny, I don't care what you say about him, he's killing it on the cryptos. I mean, I can't tell you how many people told me that. Plus you have a track record. You have here's what I said and here's what happened, and you can go look at it on your chart. Anyway, Bo Polny, very interesting. And just really, you did a lot of work on this, and this is what you're going to be looking at here. God's Trump cycles, that's the free PowerPoint presentation. It's 20 some odd slides. There's charts. There's important dates. There's some math. Thank you for coming on and showing us what you do for a living. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for coming on USA Watchdog. Bo Polny, the analyst of time. He is a cycle analyst, and also his website is Gold 20. I always get this wrong. 2020 Gold Forecast. Gold Forecast 2020. Did I get that right?
Gold 2020
forecast.com.
Forecast.
That's right.
Now, interesting. 7 years ago, I created the website. 7 years ago. Today, this is 2020, because my analysis indicated that in the year 2020, the world will begin to see clearly 2020 vision.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yes. And so what I believe is this year is the year of epic changes for our world. And in closing, I can just tell you this, God shows me things, whether you believe or not. Just look at the math that I present in this presentation. Okay. God is one thing. He will never do anything without first speaking. And again, I am not a prophet, but he shows me things. But God will never do things without first speaking through his prophets. And if you want to see a prophet, go to Lois, King of Glory Ministries, Lois Vogel Sharp. That's a prophet. Okay. But the point is that God is giving information to his people so that they know what is coming. I'm giving you timelines. If it works out this way, and I do believe it will, I'm telling you, God is doing it out of love, because God is love and he's judge. And so you decide, you got to choose wisely in life. And so I'm giving you some information that I hope you use wisely. And I hope you hear what I said and you
We
listen.
have time to prepare. The most important thing is to get right with Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. That's the most important. I always say that: prepare yourself mentally, physically, above all, spiritually. And so I know you think the same way because you are a Christian brother. But anyway, Bo Polny, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you, Greg. God bless.